yo, it's time to get lit. We getting blended with the bunch. My whole entire squad's out to lunch. Took a leap of faith and everybody jumped. The blended bunch. Spitting positive energy every Friday at 3 on WBKE. It's the blended bunch.
We in the building, y'all. Blended Podcast. We are back. I am Phoenix Orion.
This is Inari Vox.
Mikey VIP.
And we got our special guest in the studio with us today.
You cut me off, man.
Cut you off? I got to before you.
The Blended Bunch.
Yeah. What she said.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, these are hot.
yeah, super hot.
That's one of my AKAs right there. Feedback. Phoenix.
Feedback.
Yeah, they call me Feedback.
Yeah, that's
like that.
I thought you were talking about super hot.
Since day one in the studio. Shouts out to Cosmo D, Jam One crew. Gave me that AKA. Could you
Is that
with the
back
camera?
then, but
bring it over so we can get Guy, get everybody in that way. That way, yeah, right there. Yep, see. There go the crew. That's the crew. There we go. That's the whole crew. We in the building. All right, okay. So today's show, y'all, is called The Great American Green Rush. We're gonna be talking about trees.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I know some of y'all been waiting for this show out there. I know Mikey been waiting for this show, right?
Yeah.
A couple of weeks been waiting for this show.
Everybody knows that we went legal recently, so it's a really big deal here, and the industry is booming here in Nevada. I actually have to say I'm really, really proud of the advancement that Nevada has taken.
The first week, did we do like, what, 3 mil in sales the first week or something like that? Something close to that, or am I correct?
The first month.
Yeah, the first month in sales, 3 million in sales. I don't know if we making and breaking records, but, you know, we doing things in Nevada, y'all. We doing some big things.
Ooh, Miss Hayes, thank you for joining the party.
Right. Oh, it's in the headphones, bro. That's the headphones, right?
Yeah,
okay, right there. That's good. All right, yeah.
So we can get everybody here.
All right, we good. I'll move over.
Yeah, get out the microphone. We're trying to get everybody in here.
We got the whole blended bunch inside there. They got the fam. There we go, y'all. That's the bunch, the blended bunch.
Hey.
All right, that's the whole bunch. We in the building. So, while we at it, I want to give thanks right now on live on air to my friend here sitting with us, Mr. Guy. One of our, he's been one of our sponsors as well as a good friend for us for quite some time now when we were several years ago doing events at the Up High Mansion.
Yes.
And,
Hey.
yeah, and, just being some freedom fighters. Yeah, I miss it too. Just being, freedom fighters, man, and future forward, for the cause.
Well, just to recap quickly so people know what we're talking about, we hosted weekly and monthly events at our home, our residence, which we deemed the Up High Mansion, and it brought the community together before it was legal. It gave, a place to, come together and
But just think how long Chong has been doing it, and actually going to jail, and because we do conventions with him. He's always at the Champs, and several conventions that we do with a lot of his products. He has products, rolling papers, and what have you. And he's been an activist in the community for a long time. But we got my guy here sitting next to my guy.
We have Mr. Lance Lambert. Thank you very much.
I want to learn more about you, man. I want to know more about you.
You are.
Yeah, I want to be. You're Guy's friend, but I want to be friends with you too.
I've got a story.
Okay, so just a little bit of history on Mr. Lambert. You are the former publisher of Marijuana.com and the former GM of cannabis.
Yes.
And you are now deemed a cannabis industry consultant.
Yes.
My first question for you, does this cannabis industry consultant partake?
Oh, yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, you may stay.
I officially came out of the green closet, as we say, last year.
Oh, I love it.
So,
awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of corporate closet partakers.
Very much so.
So what is your specific expertise within the industry?
Really, my focus over the past just under 4 years has been centric to media and marketing.
Okay.
Although Guy and I were just discussing this earlier, really being in that space, you have to have knowledge of all aspects of the industry. So everything from vertical integration to ancillary products like rolling papers and glass and all the rest of it. So we are fortunate being in that spot to be able to have relationships and rapport with so many people, a lot of passionate people, but so many people tied to the industry in general.
And now there's the stock market and the investment
Yes.
side
Yes.
of the green rush.
The penny stocks in cannabis.
Yes,
Yes.
and I got to, in a previous project, got to interview the Wolf of Weed Street.
Oh, okay.
And that was a very, very interesting interview. I'm sure you
Yeah.
know who I'm talking
I
about.
want to mix my Bitcoins with my cannabis stocks and make it cannabit.
Oh my God, you just coined something.
There you go.
Watch.
Cannabis.
Okay, so go. This is your forum. I want to hear your take on what's going on right now.
Would you like that by state, by
Well, let's
region?
just start local.
You started in
I'll start local.
started in Denver.
Well, so yeah, I started. I'm originally from Northern California, so it's been around me for a long time.
Okay.
You know, obviously that was a big movement with the hippies and the Grateful Dead and everything that came out of Northern California. Technically, I went to college studying criminal law as a criminal justice major, so I thought
Cool.
I'd get into law enforcement, but I took this route, which pays better and less risk of being shot.
And a lot
So-
more fun.
a lot friendlier people, and they wear black because they're cool, not because they have to.
Right.
You know? So that was my background. But yeah, technically, you know, I was in tech and then I was in media. But it took me moving to Colorado January of 2014 when they legalized what then we called rec, now we call adult use. And it's funny, I got all the jokes on social media, all my friends back in NorCal are like, we know why you're moving to Colorado. We know what the real story is here. And honestly, at that point, I didn't consume. I'd taken off because going to school and studying that's one thing that I couldn't do.
Right.
So I technically hadn't done it for some time. But yeah, it was Colorado. And it was a great place to be. It was definitely for a hot minute. It was kind of the Amsterdam of the U.S. And then Washington came online, and then Oregon came online, and so on and so forth. I have a huge fondness for Las Vegas. My family, we've had a house out here for a couple of decades, so I've been keeping a close eye on this market. And speaking specifically about Nevada, a lot of people underestimated this market. It's really interesting, just as an outsider sharing with you all, because you all are advocates in here, obviously.
Strong advocates.
Yes, strong advocates. And I came out to a couple of parties out here in events, and the passion was strong, and the people that were behind it were 110% behind it. You know,
That's kind of like the Vegas style of
That is.
whatever we do.
That is.
And
Go
that
big.
was something I was kind of like actually looking forward to see how Vegas was going to do cannabis.
Yeah.
Because Vegas has a style to the way they do
you
everything.
do. even I went to a consult again. That's so funny. We were just talking this. Guy invited me. I usually do short trips out here. He's like, "Hey, stay. There's this consumption party that's going on out in the burbs." I said, "Okay," and it was like most parties where they have the appetizer, the hors d'oeuvres. They did have topless women with painted chests, and that's
Las Vegas.
I'm like, this is so Vegas. I love it. Because that was not happening in Colorado. That was not happening in California, let alone Oregon or Washington. So, but again, this being a second home, just keeping an eye on it. And a lot of people in the industry were like, oh, it's Nevada. It's smaller population, compared to California, where the population is 39.2 million, or even Colorado, where you have 5.6 million. So it is a smaller populous state, but people forget the fact that it's a transient state for one, and then for two, the amount of people that visit. I mean, this is...
Oh, it's part of what happened is now it's part of the novelty of coming here now. It's like people are like,
Walking into
hey,
a store.
now when they come to Vegas, before it was like maybe a Cirque du Soleil show or seeing something like that.
Rita
Now we can
Rutner.
smoke weed. Now it's like, hey, I want to go to a dispensary.
Yeah.
So,
And then the Bunny Ranch.
well, on that note too, earlier he had mentioned Denver being that was the Amsterdam of the time. What do you think about? I mean, Vegas. I mean, I said it like 8 years ago that this would be the equivalent to the USA.
Yeah.
Immediately when they started accepting medical cards from all the other states before it went rec, I was like, that's what's up. And I'm really, really happy to see how quickly they're jumping on board to find the positive balance policy for the smoking lounges, because people have it, but they can't smoke it anywhere.
It's true, and you guys address that. That's another really good example. And you're right, people are referencing Vegas, and it's from the inside out, but they're referencing this as the legitimate Amsterdam of this country, and it's true. Because while you do have 72 million tourists on average a year that go to Colorado, that's tourism for the entire state. You have 43, I think it's up to 45 million a year that visit Las Vegas, just the valley. So we're talking about just one. We're not talking about Reno. We're not talking about Mesquite. We're not talking. So talking about just that, I mean, it is. And people do things here they don't do anywhere else. I can vouch that firsthand. As often as I come out and visit.
I would say 80% of the people that come here experience that to the 90th power.
It's so true, because you come to have about fun, you think of fun, and there's been some tough times, obviously, in Vegas more recently, and even long term. But the big picture, you come to Vegas for fun, so it is a part of it. But I agree. I mean, you guys are so ahead of the curve. I mean, being there January 14 when they legalized recreational in Colorado, they weren't even talking about public consumption. They're so busy collecting the coin that was a secondary, and it took them a few years to really get their act together. Here, you guys are on top of it. You're like, okay, we're selling it, now where are we going to consume it? And there is a little bit of push, obviously, there's some powers that be.
Well, the demand is so high,
Yeah.
especially because Vegas wants to make sure they can stay in control of how it's regulated, so that way it doesn't get out of hand, and that's smart.
Yeah.
Because that way there's no gray area, and you know exactly what you can do and what you can't do. But they're making it a fair playing field, from what I've been able to ascertain thus far. I don't know, maybe you know more than
Yeah, I mean, we can personally speak from that standpoint, from events and things that we've done, and got
The quick change in policy has affected us greatly, so we can tell you how quick policy can move here in Vegas when they really want it to.
The next week,
the next day. So money talks in this town, and if it makes sense, then they're going to do something with it. And I'm glad that they look at the positive side of it as opposed to fighting it, because it is the inevitable. So at least, and what it's going to only do is catapult the industry, I feel, to be even more profitable and to be a better example for how other states can do it.
I completely agree, and it is. And you have guys like Tick, and you have Sandoval. You have individuals that are getting behind it and aren't fighting it. Because I hate to say it, but Hickenlooper and Hancock out there in Colorado, they weren't for it. They made that clear. Not necessarily against it. They weren't for it. But even kind of being on the down low, I mean, the travel department of the government was not even recognizing out there the income, how much of the revenue impact from obviously the tourism side of things. It's like, how can you not report that? I mean, you got $100 million in tax revenue. Why would you keep that off the books on how much this is impacting?
Also, not to mention the impact on misdemeanors and petty crimes. This is something like nobody's really talking about and doing the statistics on, like how much the crime rate has dropped. I know there was something in New York City that I seen briefly on how they also got a little bit lenient as well on their laws. It's actually like no longer I think the lowest misdemeanor possible to be carrying. Yeah. And that's a great leap for New York City. I'm from New York. That's a great leap. I mean, seriously, like a joint too. There wasn't like Japan and certain other places where they get you, but still you can do some time.
Yeah, you can in Asia. It's I was in Singapore and I did not take any.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine in the industry. Well-known group. Don't want to mention it. Like he was like they threw him in jail. Like he was like, oh, we don't care really who you are in the States. Like we caught you with a joint, you're going to jail.
Yeah, exactly true. So it is true. I think the fact that they lax in many states, you're right, and municipalities are decriminalizing, or they're doing a ticket and release, which is kind of a popular term used. But
basically a fine.
It's a $50 fine, and you can walk.
A fine.
I mean, it's ridiculous when you're talking about 65% of people are incarcerated in this country, not just for cannabis, but for drugs in general. I mean, we could go down that whole rabbit hole, but it is pretty ridiculous just how much the money drives the motivation towards making this a crime.
Yeah.
So,
my guy here, you deal with a lot. You have Elevate magazine publication here in town, so you deal with a lot of the new upcoming cannabis companies and marketing.
And the change in policy as well.
Yeah.
Oh, all the change. I do want to say that Governor Sandoval was very anti it at first.
Yes, he is.
Oh, is he still?
He is. At first he was. Yeah, he's coming up. He did the same thing with us with the solar power.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Sandoval. All right.
We're not going to talk about that right now.
He came around because of the tax dollars.
Yeah.
Funny.
Cha-ching!
Governor Sandoval's legacy is education, and the rainy day fund was something he was taking a percentage of the taxes and applying it to school systems for the rainy day fund, which is he saw the monetary opportunities of cannabis, even though he was against it.
Yeah, well, and that's the same. That's why Hickenlooper all of a sudden started going easier and easier, because you go out and you see the school system, the infrastructure, the municipalities that are rewarded from all of the revenue dollars in Colorado.
But the irony in that is, if you look at Colorado, there's a lot of the anti-propaganda that's like, oh, there's no tax dollars going to schools, and Colorado's like, here's a picture of the school. Yeah. This is what marijuana built, and it's interesting.
I think we should deal with things accordingly. The first thing we should deal with is the fact that it is really saving people. It's helping people, the medicine side of it.
Yep.
You know?
RSO oil to me is the be-all, end-all.
100%.
It's amazing what it's done. We've put children with rage autism, where a mother would have to lock herself in a closet because the 15-year-old son would get so frustrated not speaking.
Yes.
We just put him on RSO about 8 months ago, and he hasn't even had an episode since then.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Great.
I love that.
So, and even on the recreational market, which another point of history was made today. Today, Henderson, Nevada went officially recreational.
Henderson.
Ah.
There you go. Yeah. See? Moving
H-Town,
forward.
what's up?
Moving forward.
The source and all those are open as of
Yeah.
today.
Beautiful.
So feel free to get cannabis, not just in Vegas, but Henderson as well.
Absolutely. Spread it out.
But with everything that's going on in the consumption lounges, we're expecting, they're meeting in December and they're going to fast track the consumption lounges. But
Great.
my understanding, the consumption lounges will be tied to each dispensary. Only dispensary owners will be able to open up the consumption lounges next door or near the parking lot.
That's what I heard. I mean, you
Beautiful.
know what? That's okay.
That's
I mean,
wonderful.
places like Reef, who already look like they're pretty much set up for that, you know, again, forward thinking.
Nevada Wellness.
Thrive.
You know, they got their grow.
Acres got some space.
Thrive has some space.
What's the new?
I think New Leaf could figure it out.
What's the Native American one? The
New Cannabis.
Nuwu, yeah.
Paiutes, that is actually another piece of history. New Cannabis opened this Monday. It is the largest dispensary in the world.
Amazing.
It's 16,000 square feet total, but it's 14,000 square feet of retail space.
Oh, wow. So that's bigger than Shango.
looks nice.
Yeah.
Shango, I thought was huge.
Oh, this blows
Yeah,
every.
Where's the location of that one again?
It's on Main Street in Washington, across from Palm Mortuary.
Okay.
Yeah, we gotta go check that out.
And they're doing
Got
a
it.
10% off cards this week when you walk in.
Oh, beautiful.
We are card carriers here.
Yes. I still use
I need
my
a card. I need a card in my life.
Even though I don't need it, I
said almost.
still use my card just because it's cheaper taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get 10% break on that.
And I get to go to the front of the line, so.
Plus, we talk too much smack about legalization not to have our cards. It just wouldn't be like, that's like, yo, vote or
need a
die.
sponsor.
And you don't even, you're not a registered
I still
voter.
use mine here because, like you said, that's technically
got
Nevada
yours?
is. You know, I have mine, and Nevada is the only state that did
Accepts many-
recognize
yeah.
full reciprocity. So
Yes.
you do have Arizona, it recognizes reciprocity, but the catch-22 there is, guy has to be medical, I have to be medical. If I'm visiting him, then he has to gift it to me. I can't buy it from him, but he can
Yes.
donate to me.
Yes.
because
Gift it,
I-
yeah.
So, and then the only
can
other
trade.
is Puerto Rico is the only other place that
Where you can
recognizes
trade.
reciprocity.
Oh, interesting.
Make
So-
a donation.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Make a donation. Buy one,
All right,
donate one.
really quickly, you got some news for us tonight in the Twitterverse.
Oh man, we're gonna go there. Okay, yeah, we're gonna just go off topic for a second, you know, and have a little fun with this. Okay, so as I was going along my Twitter feed, all of a sudden I see fake Melania. And I was looking at that and I was like, oh my God. And everybody needs to know. I saw this clip originally on my headline news or whatever, and I noticed, I was like, wow, Melania looks so disheveled, and that's so disrespectful as a first lady to wear big glasses like that. Who does that? Whatever,
I
I finished
just
getting
noticed
ready.
Jackie O.
Yeah, I just
You know?
noticed. I just noticed that
She's
she.
no
I mean,
Jackie O.
they're usually detached, both of them. Like, but I just
Right.
noticed she was extra detached.
Extra
She was a
robotic.
stunt
like,
double.
she looked hungover as fuck to me. I was like, you know, I'm just like, oh, I know those mornings.
And when she showed me, the video.
They did a side by side. It was so
Showed me the
blatant.
video.
And
I
then
looked at the,
the next
nose
day-
and the movements.
The lips.
Yeah, the next day when it came up on my Twitter, I was like, what? And then they showed the zoom in, and then when you zoom in and you could look at the face, I'm like, that's not even her. They're giving us a first lady stand-in now.
Attack of the Clones.
What
Attack
the
of the
hell?
Clones.
Put the
Attack of the
Kardashian
Clones.
filter
What
on
are
it.
your guys' opinions on our POTUS in the Twitterverse?
Since everybody's jumping in,
Don't
She
worry,
was
we're not
looking at
sanctioned
you.
yet.
now it's really difficult to see what's going on right now. But I know it's going to be too soon, and I'm kind of curious if Harvey Weinstein proposition.
The hashtag Me Too. The hashtag Me Too
I
was
was
big.
so surprised after that how many people just in all my different social networks were coming up with strong hashtag Me Too's, and I was like, wow, this is the best movement I think for uniting a tragedy to make it a triumph, I think, than any other thing.
What's not cool is the fact that it's actually been something that's kind of been accepted widely in the industry, because this is not new. I mean, we've all been in, you know.
Can we
I've
clear
been
up
in the
exactly
industry.
what we're talking about? Because I know about the incident, and I know vaguely what it's about, but what specifically was done?
there, right now it's coming out as like Harvey Weinstein is basically a serial rapist. and he's been that and been using his power in
For
Hollywood,
decades.
who he is.
A sexual predator.
I mean, basically, you know.
Is it the alleged Bill Cosby type situation?
No.
where he's
This,
roofing
no, this
people?
is real.
There's many women. There's
He's
a lot of creditable females in Hollywood coming out.
Rufy's not so much involved in this.
No, more so
You know, he didn't
power
drug
of
anybody.
persuasion
Yeah, he
to
didn't drug
actually make sure that their career got off or did not. If he
I
got
understand
off or
the
did
motive.
not.
I just want to know how and what he was doing. You know, they put Marv Albert out there.
a lot of massages, a lot of voyeurism.
Yeah, Asia Argento and Rose McGowan have made accusations that he raped them.
Lapita just came out too, saying he also touched her.
And what she did is she switched it and said, "No, let me massage you." So that
Yeah.
way she was in
I was reading
charge.
that just
She was more in
now.
charge of the scenario. So it wasn't that he was dominating her. So so he
That's horrible. What a dick.
But he had more of a problem with just pulling down his pants after the massage. That's the majority of that he made several women watch him masturbate and like corner him in vestibules. But strange enough, Asia Argento, who's Dario Argento's daughter, famous Italian horror filmmaker, had a consensual relationship with him several years after the rape. So there's a credibility issue to the rape. I think he's a creep, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I think he used his influence to... But it's been a way of Hollywood for...
See?
It's
almost like, and not only Hollywood. I mean, now in the Olympics, the young Olympics. You know, she just came out and said to her with the doctor, him, and he's been allegedly several other women too.
Those
He's
are
touched him.
because they were all under the age of 16. Those.
So that's
Unfortunately, I have a daughter, man. So
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, I
Me
don't
too.
know, like being on the other
Hashtag.
side of that. Yeah, you know.
Hashtag me too.
Me too. But I think going back to your point, it's so we talk about this in marketing, but it can be translated. So you talk about trickle down or bubble up. So you have your trickle down where you start at the top, and if you're promoting a brand, you go to the businesses, promote them as such. But then you also have the bubble up where it's more of a root style. But that's exactly to your point with the hashtag. Just like Vegas Strong to come out here, and I wanted to come out right after what happened, the incident, but I did give it a little time. But coming out and seeing just how strong the community is and how everybody's hashtagging it, like that is epic. That's cool to see because I know how big this. And people
I was
don't
very
get how strong
proud.
this community is.
I was so proud of Vegas.
Yeah.
And just how like
That's
there
all
was
I
there
hear.
was no question in anyone's mind. Immediately, no, we come together.
Yeah.
You know, and that
I got
just,
some bars. Y'all want to hear some? I got some. I
Yeah,
wrote some
you
bars
do.
right after it happened because I was just. That's the only thing I know how to do sometimes.
Right.
Like as an artist, is just write or do something. You know, paint or you know.
Yeah.
Here we go. Real quickly. I'm just do it. We about to get blended. They say my city's under siege. I'll defend it. No more rumors about the shooter, let me end it. It was a crisis situation so laws can be implemented. Them dirty demonic devils are devious and demented. Hearts broken at the harvest fest is not what they intended. It's time to rebrand my city, reinvent it. When we say what happens here stays here, we really meant it. By popular demand, we give the people what they want. New defenders of Sin City, they call us the blended bunch. Black Cobra strike system when I punch. Grits Cafe for breakfast and Mario's for lunch. Up high mansion, son, we still cheap blunts. Bad news got me stressing, son, light another one. Word to Kim Jong, can we all get along?
That's dope.
Rest in peace from the blended bunch. Hashtag Vegas Strong. You know, it's
fire, man.
some quick bars, like I said, you know, when it
That's
goes.
my dog. That's my dog.
At the time it happened too, we were planning on doing an event called The Harvest, you know, earlier in the year.
I remember you wanted
You
to do
know,
a farmer's
yeah,
market
yeah,
type
like a
style.
farmer's market type of thing for cannabis, and I kind of like, can you close the door? I kind of like immediately was like, babe, I think we should. I just took everything down off the internet, just in for solidarity, you know, the people, because I'm just the word harvest. It was the 91 harvest. I was like, it's just bad time, and then we canceled the event just to see how and what was going to happen, you know,
well, how
in
it was
terms of
going to
outside
change,
events.
yeah,
and
the
change.
policy for outdoor events now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the problem is, and we were talking about it yesterday when he was studying criminal justice. The copycat is common
Yeah.
for things at events like this. Which
Yes.
I have a 10-year-old. I went to Rock in Rio and brought her to see Taylor Swift.
See?
You know, so now I'm second guessing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny. I'll go to an enclosed arena, but now I'm going to second guess an outdoor venue.
I was looking forward to the EDC going green next year and a lot of other events. So now, especially things like EDC, it's just, you know, it's a fear tactic. You know what I
But
mean?
look though, they just had that big country event last night, and it went off
Without a
fine.
hitch.
Wasn't
No, that's good.
wasn't
They had
Damien?
another one like a week right after too. 'cause,
Didn't
and
Damian
they did have
Marley
for
also do a
somebody.
show
and I was
at-
like, really? They just
It didn't affect the
House of
turnout.
Blues
Well,
right
that's
after?
good. That's good.
Vegas strong.
Well, you know, like they
13-year-old
say-
went to it last night, and I was nervous. I didn't want her there. You know, I found out her friend asked her to go, and I'm like, I didn't know nothing about this. I was like, no.
You're going to be wearing this full flock suit. Don't worry, it's completely bulletproof and covered. Like, you might be a little hot. Drink a lot of water.
Yeah, but they don't. It's interesting because it says a lot for people to still be strong because when the incident happened out in in Spain, and Weed Maps has an office out there, and one of our individuals was on the street when it occurred. And
with the guy who drove the car.
Yeah. And he said that they weren't just like, we're not going to hide, but they were pissed off. They're like, this does not happen. You are not bringing this to Barcelona. Yeah. And I thought that was really interesting because it was almost, and I'm not a fan of combating hate with hate. I mean, it's like throwing wood on a fire to put it out. It doesn't make sense to me, but that's how passionate those people are. But I think you do have to have a certain level of confidence and passion. Like, we're not going to allow this. You know, it's not going to fly. No matter
what I've been noticing in the protest, blended bunch style, is there are a lot of our Caucasian brothers and sisters out there on the front line for us now. And it's funny. I mean, holding up the flag, the picket signs, Black Lives Matter, which is, I mean, I'm black, so it's weird. I accept it. I love it, but I'm like, wow, like that's what Martin Luther King was talking about. This is the time when he was saying, I'm not going to get there with you, but I see it. Judging people by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. Yep. And another weird thing about it, I have to say that I think I can only one can get away with that. Black people, where are you? Like, if I'm looking at a lot of these marches now, and people are fighting for our future now, and it's a lot of the college kids, and it's the younger generation, a lot of the Latinos, the Asian community, and the Caucasian community. Like, where it's like we only come out when it's like somebody in our particular community is hurt, or a kid is slain by the police. I mean, that's just the typical. Like kind of like that's even, Blended Bunch, the Blended Podcast, that's what this show is really all about. I mean, we're all up here, we're all blended individuals, man, and we do cannabis too. Yeah.
But you bring a really good point up. All the progress we've made, and it's actually going back to the Trump question.
Yes.
All the progress we made, the election of Trump brought out all the hatred even more, and it brought it to the top. It's at the boiling point.
And his slogan was "Make America Great Again."
Oh, I know.
Isn't that ironic?
That was the slogan.
I mean, that's the thing that caught me off guard. Because, like you, I mean, growing up in the Bay Area, definitely being around diversity, and I don't just mean the birth of the hippie, the yuppie, but all my friends growing up were Asian, were black, and white. And so I always felt like I was very much neutral. But that's the thing that really pissed me off. I was thankful to see Obama come into office, be able to see out my lifetime. To see a woman would be nice too, but to see, Obama, that was a shit job for anybody who came in, and that guy rocked it.
We want to push for Michelle.
Rocked it. Right? And then,
America needs a black
I was for Hillary.
Yeah.
I was for Hillary this time, and she really got railroaded. This is amazing, guys. How and
it'll all come out. But I think the point is that his motivation was positivity. That's the thing is his motivation was to come together with positivity, whereas Trump, his motivation was with negativity, and you see the extremes that come out of it.
Because he's bringing the wrong things together, thinking it's going to make it stronger, and it's very unfortunate. But one thing, his agenda just makes me sick because he is just demanding any positive thing that
we have to remember, guys. He wasn't a politician. He was not a politician. He was a very shrewd business-man. That's what he was. He's a very shrewd.
He wasn't even a good businessman.
Right.
Everybody makes the comments. He declared bankruptcy. Yeah, he declared bankruptcy 4 times. And people that vote for him, the way they justify it, well, all the great ones declared bankruptcy. I'm like, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett. No, the ones that are good are good.
Mark Cuban. I mean, there's
right, Mark.
Okay, I hear he's thinking about running.
Mark's
after
thinking about
Trump.
Running, guys.
If people like the CEO way of running our country,
what do you guys
which
think
is
about The Rock trying to run for president?
Oh my God.
My wife's ecstatic.
My money's on
He
Cuban.
would never win over Kanye West.
I actually think politics should stay in the political field and politicians. Schwarzenegger was like the first, kind of like Ronald Reagan. Pardon me, Ronald Reagan
was the first.
And I was young then, but that was still iffy for me too because
he had a giant career in politics as governor. He worked his way up.
He used his star power to do things. I mean, Reaganomics. I don't know. It's kind of iffy.
Reaganomics.
Yeah, that was.
He wasn't
hold
perfect, but for Republicans, even I was kind of impressed with the guy.
Yeah,
I'll give him that.
He definitely wasn't Nixon.
After Nixon.
He definitely wasn't Nixon.
Going back to the main topic, cannabis. he was the war on drug guy. Nixon
Yeah.
might have started prior to that.
But Reagan ran with it, and so did his wife.
Well,
I
well, that was
remember-
Nancy's big thing, and that was such a waste of money,
See, but
and we all
it
knew
was
it.
ridiculous.
Just
the
say
fight
no.
before, guys, was before even the word cannabis. We have to. It was hemp. It was
Yes.
hemp. And hemp been here since like what World War was it one or two? When they were
Yeah.
using hemp for the ropes and other things like
See,
that.
You could pay your
Okay.
taxes in hemp in this state in this country at one point.
You know, I have
Wow.
to say,
Wow.
like you, Lance, I was an advocate way before I ever smoked. I was
Yeah.
very anti consumption, but I was all about the textiles for hemp and all the positive things it could do
Yes,
for the
that hemp
environment.
could do.
So I was an advocate for the environment, then the medical, before even smoking anything else.
More on the
So-
environmental side for me too.
there was
the environmental properties.
Yeah. So I mean, if you think about just as a textile, like for oil and petroleum, it would affect the petroleum industry.
Yep.
And then you have
Clothing.
The clothing. So
You have
for
the paper industry.
Exactly. That was my
Newspaper
next one.
industry.
William
Saving
Randolph
our
Hearst.
trees.
Yes.
Because you can
Hearst
create
was
more paper products and wood products out of hemp stalk than you can
Yeah,
out
it's
of a
not
tree.
an annualized crop. I
No.
mean, this crop turns every 10 to
Seasonal.
12 weeks, even with hemp. Yeah, it is very much seasonal
But
as
that's
opposed to annual or...
But how that affects the lumber industry,
Yep.
Makes them cry. How
And the
it affects-
environment.
Yeah, how
The
it
oil
affects
industry.
the
In general.
oil industry makes them cry, and then the medicinal industry makes them cry. And it's like if they don't understand, if they would just jump in on it, then they would still get their profits in a
and the
positive
thing-
way.
Especially with I think that's the thing with the medical industry is the fact that, you can't grow, well, you can't technically, but I mean, you aren't going to grow opioids in your backyard. You aren't going to grow methamphetamines in your backyard, let alone cocaine or anything else. So it is one of those truly natural, and it is a God's gift. The plant has so many attributes, every single aspect of it. And the fact that we have an endocannabinoid system that it just fits perfectly with, it's only natural that we would love this thing.
Can you say that again?
Oh, so
Endocannabinoid.
So
Yeah, the way that just rolled off the tongue.
Sounds like a Snoop song.
I got my endocannabinoids plus some of my boys. They'll be coming making noise.
So I do geek out, so if you'll let me geek out, but that's exactly, so we do have the ECB, an endocannabinoid system, and we
Yes.
have CB1 and CB2 receptors, CB1 THC, CB2 CBD. So we're built and designed to consume this plant, as opposed to a chemist that I was talking to, and he's like, you know why you can take 800 milligrams of Advil? Because I cut out Western medicine last year, no more Advil,
Yes.
no more and I know it's not, even Somnus.
Nice, man. Good for you, man.
All gone, right?
Good
And so
for
that's
you.
the thing is, he said that's why you can take 800 milligrams of Advil, because your body only absorbs 50% of that.
Of it, huh?
Yeah, 50% flushes through it. So, and obviously those are things you can overdose on. Nobody's ever, I know everyone says it, but it's true. Nobody's overdosed on any aspect.
This is one of the
Right.
gifts from the gods. The reasons why George
It's all spiritual and
Washington,
NorCal on you, but yeah, it is.
our founding fathers, they all had cannabis farms.
Yep.
Well, we're at the halfway mark right now, and I would like to give a shout out to our first official sponsor. if I
Okay,
may.
suck it to me, baby. Suck it to me. Suck it to me. Suck it to me.
Okay, girl down there, I know you're gonna understand. Okay, I have this pet peeve. All right, when you set up your living room and you put your wall lamps in, or you plug all your stuff in, and you go to push your couch back, and it just doesn't go flush against the wall, or you have the cords just hanging everywhere.
Wait, that annoys me too.
Yes.
Can I be a part of this?
Yes, absolutely.
I have a slight case of OCD.
Okay.
Let me tell you something, because we're all, in a way, we're all tech geeks. Like, if you do any type of marketing, whatever,
The
you're gonna,
cords that are
the
just
cords.
hanging out of the wall for no reason, you know?
Yeah.
It's just there.
Yes.
Okay, well, now there's a solution. Sleek Socket. So if you go to sleeksocket.com and check out this innovative new product, you're going to love it. It's affordable. It allows you to completely hide the unsightly, unsafe, and inconvenient outlets out of sight via a unique ultra-thin plug, measuring only about a thickness of a pencil. So it's flush against the wall. So,
like that.
and then it sticks down the wall, and then it has an extension cord with 3 or more plugs on it. So anyway, so it's awesome. If you go to sleeksocket.com and use promo code INARI, INARI, you get 20% off your entire order. So check it out. It's dope.
Sleeksocket.com.
Here, check it out.
Suck it to me. Suck it to me. Suck it to me.
I mean, it sounds so good.
I know, it was, I was very passionate.
So, what do you guys have planned for the MMJ Biz Con coming up? I attended the first one. It blew me away.
Yeah.
I kind of wasn't ready for it. I mean, yeah, I wasn't. I wasn't ready for that. There was, like, I've been a brand ambassador for like over 25 years. There are various different companies, Skull Candy headphones,
cool.
Monster Energy,
Well, you talk.
back from the days of cross colors, and went to the convention thinking like, yeah, cannabis convention, right? There was no tie-dye shirts, there was no dreadlocks, there was everybody had on suits, and
well, we still
badges that said investor.
But
And I was
everybody's
like,
still smoking. Regardless
I
of
know,
what
but
they're
it was
still
just
smoking.
nice to see
we're
the.
vaping. We're not.
We're
smoking.
vaping.
Right,
So,
right.
oh, speaking of which, here we go. Vaping. Yes,
Not
here we
to
go.
get Pax a plug, but I mean, this is
Please
This
do.
is the way to go.
Plug
I mean,
away.
see
Plug
everybody
away.
like to show them like this is the way to go.
Yeah.
You know,
And
this is
so
what we do now.
You
This
can
is the
tell
thing.
me that I can't
vape.
smoke in a casino. That's totally fine. I can't smoke in a club. That's
Things
fine,
like-
Mr. Wynn.
Yeah.
Really?
You know,
I know,
I can hit this really quickly.
Yeah.
There's a new vape also that came out that's odorless.
Oh, nice.
That's the one because this is not like that stinky, but it's still
No,
like
it's
a
still
slight,
got a
a
little
slight
bit of
odor. And there's a new one that's
Gram and a
odorless. This is hippie trips.
Ah, that's a good grade.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
one of
that
our
was the
sponsors.
first
too.
vape I ever had. It was a
Yeah.
Bruce Lee one.
And that's
So,
hippie trips.
It's MJ Biz is going to be big. So they,
Yeah.
you guys heard about what's going on with the whole controversy and the concern around the loss of license for obviously for the casinos.
Yes.
So they're shifting it from Rio to Las Vegas Convention Center. It's perfect timing because they were growing. So last year they were supposed to cap at 7,500. They actually ended up selling 10,800.
Yes, it
tickets.
sold out. I think the second day.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was right after voting, right? So we had a big thing. 8 out of 9 states
Yes.
in November voted yes. Arizona didn't. They're dealing with that. But there was such this big push, and all of a sudden, to your point, that's why we joke around. The suits really are they're investors,
Yes.
or lawyers.
That's it.
That's really it.
That's what-
the rest of us do dress like we came from the .com or the tech industry, and that's pretty fitting. The tie dye and the hippie stuff. As much as I respect the crowd that I grew up around in NorCal. We're trying to shake that stigma.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm offended by the term counterculture. It really should, if anything, call it a subculture if you want, but it's not counter to anything anymore if it's legal.
Yep.
You see,
Right.
being a brand ambassador and Guy, he's thanked us for. I mean, our company alone here, IVXX Collective, we pride in the rebranding of the hippie or whatever the user of cannabis. I don't even know what to call us, but I mean the consumer.
Well, they're patients and consumers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they look for that. They look for a certain, starting off with the tie-dye, starting off with something psychedelic, like even, and a lot of the brands, and I have a lot of friends, I'm like, come on, man, like, I'll do the graphics for you for free. Could you change that?
Sometimes you just
seriously.
gotta give back.
For that,
Yeah.
the counterculture, subculture, whatever you want to call it, that's why we created Elevate Nevada Magazine, was to remove the stigma. I've been smoking a little too long since 1992, and probably every night, and I had the wife. And
Doesn't the wifey help with the graphics, doesn't she?
she does all the design. But
Wow,
I have
okay.
the white picket fence, I had the 2 kids and a boy and a girl.
She gave me a run for my money. I'm gonna just, she's lucky I know her.
We did just win best covers in all of the state of Nevada from the
Yo, that's what's up.
Which I have a copy in mine at home. I enjoyed
Nice.
it. Very great.
I have
was like,
several.
oh my God.
And we also won the best website for every magazine.
The best site. Whoa, that's what's up. Elevate Magazine, y'all check them out. And the website is
ElevateNV.com.
ElevateNV.com. Y'all check that out.
ElevateNV.com.
That's nice. Okay, yeah.
And ironically, I always said we're the Time Magazine of pot.
Yes.
Us and Time Magazine had the same cover in September.
No.
Well,
Wow.
very similar.
Well,
Very
obviously
similar
not
cover.
the same. There would be some plagiarism involved.
Well, and everybody thinks we copied them, but I don't
course
know
they did.
anybody at Time Warner.
I'll post that in the subject for you guys
Yeah.
on the podcast when you check us out on YouTube, The Blended Podcasts,
But it'll be
everywhere on all of our social networks. Back to the MJ Biz. We were going to be doing, because I do the champs twice every year.
I do, so I love it.
My guy just walked in here, Mr. Tony Soul, Tony S, and kind of like helped us with, just 3 years ago. With one of our brands was the Medicated Mansion.
Oh.
Was the brand that we did starting. We had mansion parties. He was the curator.
Pie Mansion?
Yeah, curator of a mansion, and
cool.
and the community was. We knew it was growing and it was coming, so we took the risk, and we promoted a party several months, like around this time when we talked about doing it, and it finally got word back to the actual convention champs itself
Oh, this
via
was that party.
via Herb Magazine.
Was this a party that was out?
You
Okay.
went.
I got,
You did.
I
I know,
didn't,
I
I didn't make
seen
it out. I didn't
God,
make it
dude.
out.
Cottonmouth Kings
Were
were
you
there.
were you here at the
It was
champs?
fire. I heard about it. Yeah, I was. I was in the
Because when
champs.
you when
Yeah.
I first seen you, I didn't want to, but I knew you looked familiar. But yeah, because the Kings are friends of mine who I went on several tours with them. What's up, Daddy X? Everybody, Cottonmouth Kings.
What up, what up?
ICP, that's all my fam. Whoop whoop, all my family right there. Triple Crowners. So again, like I said, we had enough time to plan it. We was like, yo, this is gonna be a killer one because we used to do the off-brand parties, and none of them were ever sanctioned. So Herb Magazine called I forget his name now. Oh my God, he's gonna kill me. Jeff. He called Jeff from Champs and was like, hey man, we wanna get in on you guys' party. We wanna go to your party. He said, what party? He said, you know that big party, that mansion party that you guys are throwing? And he was like, we don't, that's not our party. What? Oh, wow. Oh. Yeah. Contacted us. It was, man.
That was the party. Just
that
for the
was
record
like,
on the floor. Like,
bro, we turned
almost.
away. How many? At least about 500 people that we turned away.
I'm going to tell you that I went to that party and I was stuck outside of the mansion for a little while because right when I arrived was when the cops were there. And so we were standing outside, alongside of the street, and everyone's like, just be quiet, just be chill. As long as you're quiet and chill, don't worry about it. So, me and my girl, we were standing there just waiting. And I see this knucklehead talking to the cops inside the cul-de-sac, and I ain't seen him in years. And I'm like, I know that dude. And so I was like, and then we're waiting, and so I'm like, yeah, I want to see how this plays out.
What
the
saved me
cool. So
was
then we
the
go
fact
in.
that I just got there. I had just got there. I hadn't smoked. I hadn't did anything because I had prepped earlier that day. Went home. Was like, oh, let me get dressed. And no sooner than I got there, maybe like 10 minutes. Tone comes over to me. Mean Green comes. Yo, the cops is outside. And at that time, literally, I mean, the place was packed. We had
there was like easily 200 people in a line
3
down the
dab
street.
rooms going already. It was insane already.
3 huge dab tables.
Oh my God!
It was at a crazy crescendo. We already had probably about 700 people pass through that spot already. Okay, so when Metro came, being the host of the house, I had to talk to them, and I thought
Tony had
it
to
was
turn away 200. You had to you turned away the party bus because I was like, Tony,
exactly.
like,
After I turned away Metro, and they were like, "Is it about this? Is it about the smoke?" They're like, "No, it's not about the smoke," because that's right when medicinal became legal. So the smoke wasn't the problem. We were in the cul-de-sac with 2 other mansions with regular old school Vegas folks,
so
and they were like, all the traffic in our cul-de-sac coming to this young folks' house has to go.
Busting them in. We were
ridiculous.
We were literally party
helicopters. Like Metro had it on lock.
It was $100 a head.
It was like Project X, the movie.
It was $100 a head
Literally.
to get in. Yes, yeah, it was, and that was one of the the premier. I would still say to this day that was the premier cannabis party for
for Nevada. Totally.
Nevada, the medicated
Without
mansion.
a doubt. Without a doubt.
Which was the precursor to the Up High Mansion, where I met my friend here, Guy, and several others in the community. And let me just say this too as well, like why I got everybody's ear. I mean, we all a community here is very small. We don't have to act like the nightlife groups. I work for the light group. I still got love for these guys and everybody else, but it's like we don't. There's enough for everyone. Seriously, we don't have to be going, stealing concepts, going against each other, backbiting. We don't have to do any of these things. Seriously, and for one, that's just not like cannabis users and like weed smokers. Like weed is like a thing. Like, hey, you smoke, I smoke, and you pass it. You know what I'm saying? So puff, puff, pass, man, and peace. Yep. Peace to everybody out there. In this growing community that we have. I'm definitely looking forward to the consumption lounges. That's my thing. Y'all gonna have to hire me. Like seriously, I put in too much work, too much grist, Tone. Right?
Pretty much. You guys
will
get them in time for MJ
Pretty
Biz.
much.
It's awesome. I mean, they've sold 15,000 tickets, and they're projecting they'll sell 18,000 tickets.
Well, I went on the site.
So, I mean,
I went on the site, and they were. And what I found that was cool, like for any parties that were going on within the community, they was like, "Hey, we'll help cross promote with you," which no other convention, mind you, that ever witnessed do that, like ever, just any convention.
Yeah, because it's all about the community.
I thought that was
that's
pretty
what's
cool
different
too,
about the cannabis culture is the community.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah.
So I think last minute we probably still, guys, we probably should still definitely do something just for the sake of period, man, just for everybody that we lost. I mean, put some stuff up in the air for them, and just again, Vegas strong, and just for the fact that we keep moving forward. Don't have to be a name. We don't have to call it the Harvest Fest. It's anything, whatever.
Just do a little something. Just a little something.
A little something, just to celebrate. I mean, because I was happy.
Yeah. You guys want to pull in your resources and
I know a few people.
Yeah, guy, like the first day, we was out there. Like we did a party at Thrive.
Oh, cool.
And we also had another party scheduled. This is when we found out that they pulled regulations on us. And,
that's how we know how quickly Vegas policy can change. Because
our second party was shut down.
We had a 3-day event planned that we had been working on for several months. And then in trade for location for at Thrive, we helped them with their big July 1st, celebration for recreational.
Yeah.
And then in turn, we would use their property the following weekend for our event. It was like, it would help them, it would help us. It was going to be beautiful.
And it was a big party. I stopped by for that. I had to come out.
Oh, we had
1st.
vendors.
I was out here for that.
Oh,
nice.
yeah. So
was
this
really
was
good.
7-10 weekend.
Yeah.
So 7-10. So 7-10 weekend,
Yes.
we had a huge giant stage. We had vendors, we had artists, we had everything that you could ever want lined up. And then Vegas said, no, dispensaries can only have one event per month, and if you want more than that, you have to put in a special request, which will take 30 days.
And we found this out the day of our event. Mind you, there were several hundred people.
That sounds expensive.
And, we don't even want to talk about that. You know why? Look.
I know you didn't. I know you didn't mean. I know you didn't mean to accidentally pour that salt all over this gaping wound I have.
This is how. I mean, because we have several different companies in the focus group, and being a brand ambassador, this is how we sum that up.
Yeah.
Being a new company, any company, you have to spend marketing dollars.
Yep.
And we were fresh out the gate, and so we just basically chalked that up. Do we have a call? We got a caller? We got a caller? Who's calling in today?
Us?
That's us?
Get it.
That's us. Hold on.
I don't know.
What we got?
Who is this?
I didn't know
Get it.
somebody was
Hello?
calling in today.
Hello, caller.
Hello, caller. You on the air? Blended Podcast.
Hi, is this Shirley?
It's not Shelly. This is Phoenix Blended Podcast.
I was trying to get a hold of Charlie. I thought he was doing a radio show right now.
Nope, wrong radio
Sorry,
show, honey.
Charlie. Wrong show.
It's all good, man. I'm still listening to you guys. I just turned you guys on, so...
Cool, check us out, man. The show is called The Great American Gold Rush. We're talking about trees, green, marijuana, cannabis, herbs. Thanks for calling in, man.
Hey, thanks, man.
All right, listen.
Wow.
Sorry, Charlie.
I guess we should say. You know what? Then let me just give out a quick shout out just for future reference. If we do have any callers that have questions or comments, you can call 702-749.
9874.
Thank you.
That's us.
I got you, though.
I know. I was like, you make a better door than a window, babe. I was trying to see through you. I'm all.
You trying to say I know I'm black?
Oh my god.
You're transparent, but you're not transparent. You're transparent, but I can't see through you. How much time we got? Oh, okay. We got about
We got some
5
time.
minutes
We're
left.
good. We're doing good time, man. This is a great interview, man. I really, again, I appreciate you guys for being in studio with us, man. This is
Absolutely.
It was on time. One of my good friend of mine, Jean Green, she was supposed to be our caller. She was going to be our guest for today. On the phone, she was she's grandfathered in. She's been growing for more than 10 years, but one of those, just growing for herself kind of growers now. And we was going to get her take on just how things are affecting her. She actually moved from Nevada because of the way the laws and everything used to be, and they changed so rapidly. Like, she called me just recently, like, I cannot believe. I was telling her what's happening. She's like, I can't believe that. Like, I just packed up everything, like my grow and everything, just left. She was actually doing my strands. That's another thing. Like, what I see in the not so distant future. I mean, E40 just he has his pre-rolls.
Huge Bay Area.
We have Exhibit with Brass Knuckles.
Yep.
We have
He was actually
I
at
love
our party.
Brass Knuckles.
Killer Priest and Ghostface with their fire sticks and the Woo Goo. What I see is this, as well as you have any brand of liquor, alcohol, or product, you're going to have artists and people coming out. You're going to have somebody who's going to be the face of your brand.
I would like to say if Apothecarium Source and Jenny's Dispensary in Nevada made marijuana, is carrying the Elevate Nevada strain named after a man.
Whoa.
Nice.
Wow.
I need to try
Guys, killing it up here today.
I need my own strain.
It is amazing, and I got
It
some
is good.
pre-rolls for you guys if you swing by.
I would
Oh,
love
no,
it.
to the
I got
house?
to try it last night.
You get into the house after this, yeah.
Oh yeah, we're coming over Sunday, right? What's
Yeah,
up?
I'm home all day. I smoke all day.
Sunday? Okay.
Sunday
Yeah.
fun day. I have a shirt.
Great. We got the, we got the meeting.
I know what I'm wearing.
The meeting on Saturday with Ari and Mike. Shouts out to Ari, Cooking with Ari. That's another one of our blended couples. They're a
Yep.
part of this grandiose blended thing that we have here. But she's a cook, and he is another radio host on Mike P, Lady G show here in town. And check with them on Saturday when we guy. Yeah, that's what's up on Sunday. So again, we're gonna try, man, to do something definitely for
you guys let me know.
for the MMJ biz.
I'll throw some social media posts out for you with our followers.
Oh God, I know you always take care of us. I know, I don't make those calls.
He is our unsung hero
because I know,
and our
yes.
official, unofficial,
Like
silent partner.
Guy and silent in the same sentence. That's cute.
Yeah.
It's like you know him. Oh my God.
I respect what he has to do, and he's like,
I'm a talker too. That's why.
Yeah, he knows. Like I'm in the industry, rap. He has to work through us. Like guys, he has to still uphold a certain, what I mean.
Reputation.
So he's like, hey man, I have to live vicariously through you guys. So please, I'm
I
here.
remember when you guys came to the office for the first time. I fell in love with both of you.
I know, it's fun.
Danielle brought us because she came to our house. She came to one of our things, and she's
Several
like, "I
times.
just love you guys, and you have to come and meet Guy." And so we went into the elevator office. Yes.
Danielle used to be an Evergreen. She just started working as the purchaser for Reef right now.
Oh, she moved.
Yeah.
Dang. I love you, Danielle.
Cannabis parties that would sometimes turn into swinger parties. I mean, it was just,
You didn't invite me to any of that.
I mean, hey. Look, you know what?
Wait, I am not insinuating that Danielle
Okay, look,
was there
I'm gonna
because
keep-
she was not. Okay,
I'm
that
gonna keep it
segue was
1,000.
confusing.
Look, our business is out there. I'm gonna keep it 1,000.
I'm glad we're covered. We got through politics, money, and sex. The three things you don't talk about in the first.
Oh, wait, no, we
date.
didn't talk about it. Well, that's how I roll.
This is I know.
Hold up,
I'm
real
gathering
quick.
that. Like,
Do you
it's not the
believe in
first
your
date.
Jesus as your Lord and Savior? We have to.
I'm spiritual, not religious. I'm
religious.
from Northern California.
I love you.
There is no religion there.
Amen.
Blended
Love
podcast.
is my religion.
This is the Blended Podcast. I mean,
Oh, wait, who is
We
it?
have a call.
Yeah.
you got to call it on it.
Who is it?
For somebody?
Yeah.
Let's see.
It might be Stacy.
Stace.
Might be Charlie.
Call her. You're on the air.
In the past year, have you
Sorry, Charlie. If so, vote for Brian Sandoval in 2018.
Exactly.
Oh, that's
I'll take what is the wrong number for $500. Thank you. Jeez.
Quick
Wow.
comic
I'll have to come out
release.
here more
Love
often.
it.
You guys are fun.
Yeah, no, anytime. So how long are you in town for?
I'm driving home after this.
Oh,
But I'm
man.
out here almost once a month, if not every other month.
Thank
it really
you
is the
so
second.
much.
You're gonna be back for the you back for the biz though, for sure.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely be
All right,
back.
well, you know
I'll
what?
definitely
Let's
be back.
exchange info so
For
we
sure.
can keep in touch. I'll give you our cards, and then,
Okay.
then we can make a plan and we can do something.
Yeah,
cool.
any way we can help. That's again me.
You got
Amazing.
you got anything that you're promoting right now? Any business company that you're
Just
with
me.
that you
I
would
mean,
like to
that's-
shout out?
Me.
Yeah, it's
Where can they find you? Where can
It's lancelambert.com is how you can find me. And I love the cannabis. I love weed maps. I have great opportunities. But I did have several individuals in the industry that were asking for help and in what capacity I could do it. And the only way to do it was to become a freelance, literally
I
and
love it.
metaphorically speaking. So, yeah, I don't have anyone to promote. Just I can tell you that there are definitely some brands that are looking to get involved in Nevada. So
How about
we'll
a
have to connect it.
non-profit? Would you be interested in that?
Oh yeah, I do love
Why not
NFTs.
something
And that's
for
just
you?
me. Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I've done all kinds of stuff nonprofit. And being a cancer survivor, anything to do with cancer,
Really?
I'm a huge fan of. Yeah, 14 years free. So yeah,
bless
yeah.
us.
So I'm definitely I'm a big fan of pro bono.
Nice.
Very much so.
Wow.
Love cancer.
Right.
Well,
So-
awesome. Thank you so much, Guy from Elevate Magazine, Elevate.com.
Definitely before we get out of here too, I know Tony, man, we want to give we lost a really good friend of ours.
Say that. Yes.
Yeah, you'd have to
sorry.
say it. I mean, I've been pretty.
Yeah.
It's funny. I've been in the house all week, like in a little cubby hole, and it was asthma. It's just from a simple little asthma.
Yeah,
attack,
rest in
man.
peace to Raymond Almarte Voodoo Ray.
Voodoo
Boogie
Ray.
Ray, original B-boy, original house dancer, New York City, from the Bronx, uptown, promoter, host, brand ambassador, actor. He had a big part on the Get Down recently. Like, this guy was the best dude, like, you would ever want to meet. He had a smile on his face every time you met him. Integral part of keeping the house music movement going, the hip hop movement going with Tony Touch, and like just suddenly died Tuesday night of complications from an asthma attack, and the whole community is just still in mourning right
Devastated.
now.
I have to
Yeah.
say, he popped the the memories popped up on several of my social medias. I never met the man, but I feel like I know him now because so many people in my circles started chiming in. I mean, Heather Hunter even, you know, she 35 years they were good friends. They went to school together, and I was just like,
we all
dang.
grew up with Heather. Like,
We all grew up in the dance community together, like on auditions in the nightclubs, being little b-boys and b-girls. This kid helped choreograph some of like the top, you know, music videos. Went on tour with Mariah Carey and
Janet Jackson, like you name it. Like this, you know, this guy, you know, it's just sad. He was only 50 years old, and they just did his 50th birthday party. Like a year ago or earlier this year, and like, you know, gone too soon, but never forgotten. Voodoo Ray.
Blessings
Voodoo Ray,
to
man.
the family.
Miss you, brother.
That's sad.
That's what's up. Okay,
Well,
Elevate.
thank you, Tone.
Elevate Magazine, elevate.com.
Elevate NV.
Elevate
Elevate
NV.
NV, yes.
That's elevateenv.com.
Absolutely. And then LanceLambert.com. A special shout out to our sponsor, Sleek Stuff.
Before we get out of here, you got anything coming up, Tone? Any parties, anything that you're doing, man?
Just working on the next Art and Soul experience, possibly for First Fridays. And putting together a new Latin.
Trying to do that down at the Eclipse, right? That's what
possibly down
that's
at the Eclipse Theater. Just waiting for, you know, contracts. Trying to do it legitly and on point this year. So when the contract
we've been running into a lot of, you know,
exactly.
Got to have your promoter's license, all those kind of things, you know.
Exactly. So that's coming up wherever it takes place. Just look out for the Art and Soul experience happening in Las Vegas real soon. A few other things coming up on the radar. It'll be on social media.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much.
That's what's up, y'all. Blended Podcast.
Mikey VIP.
PXO, Anari Vox, Vegas, Raw Radio, WBKE, man. Y'all make sure y'all check us out on all social networks. The Blended Podcast, Blended Bunch, man. We'll be back at you next week. We got Busy B in the building celebrating his 50th birthday, man. Yep, the Chief Rocker Busy B gonna be rocking out with us, man. Thanks to Guy, our boy Lance right here, and everybody in the studio.
Thanks, guys.
It's your girl Sade Love with Room Service Radio. You can catch me every Thursday night from